Chapter 158. The moment she picked up, Pei Yutong's passionate voice rang out once again. All right. I got it. Lin Yan sighed helplessly. Pei Yutong was simply a pest that she couldn't get rid of. If she didn't agree, she was afraid that Pei Yutong would keep calling her until her phone ran out. Haha. Sister Yan, let's make a deal. You can't stand me up. Sister Yan, I'll hang up now. Pei Yutong said cheerfully. Hold on. Lin Yan interrupted him hastily when she heard that he was about to hang up. Sister Yan, what's wrong? Pei Yutong was puzzled. Autographed, limited edition, poster. Don't forget it. Lin Yan replied firmly. Pei Yutong was speechless. All right. Don't worry. I will definitely steal it for you, Pei Yutong promised. Lin Yan hung up immediately after hearing Pei Yutong's promise. This brat, Lin Yan clutched her phone and couldn't help but feel a little dazed. If that incident hadn't happened and her brother had still been around, he would have been around the same age as Pei Yutong. At the thought of her brother, Lin Yan's eyes unconsciously flashed with a hint of fierceness. If it hadn't been for that bunch of B** stars, one day, she would have hacked those people into pieces and made them regret their actions. Lin Yan composed herself and took a few deep breaths. She immediately suppressed the restless emotions in her mind. She had lost control of herself more than once, and the consequences were severe. Each time, she would suffer a devastating blow. Now, she could adjust her emotions and control the number of times she lost control. Even now, Lin Yan still felt a chill down her spine when she recalled everything that had happened in the laboratory. It had been a purgatory and a real hell. If she could, she would rather forget everything that had happened in the past. Unfortunately, this memory was like a burning iron that was imprinted in her mind. Ever since she was young, her ability to comprehend and learn had been extraordinary. After the laboratory had been modified, it had become even more terrifying. If it hadn't been for that, perhaps she wouldn't have become the world's top racer. Her ability to comprehend and learn wouldn't have been so amazing. However, at the same time, she had lost her younger brother and left with uncontrollable sequelae, as well as that painful memory that could not be erased. Ever since she had escaped, she had deliberately concealed the changes in her body. However, she still didn't know if she could be considered a normal person. His current schizophrenia was probably a side effect of that time. Being possessed by a ghost was indeed a little too unscientific and rigorous. Fortunately, she had been quite normal recently and did not have a relapse. She hoped that she could continue to maintain it. She did not want to be locked up in a mental hospital in the future. The next day, Lin Yan wore a cap and a mask to the venue that Pei Yutong had assigned her. Car racing is divided into track racing and non-track racing. Non-track racing venues were not enclosed. Most of them were held in the wild. There were rally races, cross-country races, mountaineering races, beach races, mud races, and so on. Not long after, Grandpa and the others started a non-track race. It was a rally race with a team of racers and navigators. Track racing referred to racing in a designated enclosed field. This type of track racing was generally more enjoyable to watch, because the spectators could sit directly on the two sides of the stands and watch the race immersively. Pei Yutong and the others were competing in the arena. Chapter 159. Pei Yutong was busying himself with an excited grin on his face. He looked as though he had already pinned Song Yaonan and the others to the ground. Sister Yan, why are you here? Pei Yutong was startled when he saw Lin Yan. He hurriedly put down what he was doing and walked over to Lin Yan. He handed her a bottle of water. Before Lin Yan could respond, Pei Yutong seemed to have recalled something. He blurted out excitedly, "Oh yeah. Sister Yan. Let me introduce you to them." Pei Yutong gestured to a few young men and women. Sister Yan, do you know them? Lin Yan scanned them from head to toe and shook her head in confusion. I don't know them, none of them looked familiar, so she had no impression of them. One of the young men glanced at Lin Yen coldly before he shut his eyes again, as though he was recuperating. Sister Yen, are you serious? You're good at driving. You're considered an expert. You're a racer. How could you not know the members of the ZH1 team? Pei Yutong stared at Lin Yen in shock. This was ridiculous. ZH1 was the top team in the country. They had participated in the third level of the international competition. Everyone in the country who loved racing knew about ZH1. Pei Yutong would never have guessed that Lin Yen, who was good at racing, wouldn't know about ZH1. Sister Yen. Your racing skills have been wasted. Pei Yutong cast a disdainful glance at Lin Yen. Huh? Lin Yen was startled. What do you mean? When Lin Yen had been overseas, she had only met the top teams in the world. She wasn't familiar with the local teams. Sister Yen, everyone knows about ZH1, especially the people in front of you. They participated in the third level of the international competition. How could you not know about them? Pei Yutong quipped. The third level of the international competition? Lin Yen fell silent when she heard Pei Yutong. The international competition was indeed a high-level competition, but there were 3 levels. The highest scale was the global first division, followed by the second division and the third division. When Lin Yen had first debuted, she had participated in the second level of the international competition. She wasn't too sure about the third level of the international competition, because it was really unimpressive. Even the disciples of her disciples had never participated in the third level of the internationals. Sorry, I'm not sure. Lin Yen grinned. Forget it. Pei Yutong waved his hand dismissively and grinned. He squeezed his way to Lin Yen and said, Sister Yen, let me introduce you. Pei Yutong gestured to a young man. Sister Yen, this is ZH1's captain, God Z. Hi, God Z. Lin Yen nodded hastily at him. The young man raised his head to look at Lin Yen. However, he retracted his gaze and didn't say anything. This is Brother Q, and that is Mumu. Pei Yutong introduced them one by one. Lin Yen nodded at them one by one. Other than Mumu, who greeted her with a smile, the rest of the racers glanced at her out of the corner of their eyes. Chapter 160. No, you guys don't understand Sister Yen. How about this? Let's find some time to let Sister Yen demonstrate her talent. I'm sure your opinion of her will change. Pei Yutong replied hastily. Actually, this was how the racing industry was now. Female racers weren't valued. In fact, they were looked down upon. Women weren't as good as men when it came to racing. Racing wasn't like driving a private car. It required an extremely calm mind, and one's stamina and energy had to be very strong as well. One's mind needed to be extremely clear and calm. Otherwise, the slightest carelessness could lead to a car crash and death. Besides, racing wasn't something that an ordinary person could endure. It was extremely demanding on one's mental fortitude, and it was tough. Women usually couldn't persevere. Even if they did, they wouldn't be able to perform as well as men. Besides, there were countless cases of cars crashing and people dying. Once an accident occurred, it wouldn't be a minor one, be it during training or competition. Hence, there were very few female racers in the country, except for a few talented racers. Pei Yutong, forget it. God Z ignored Lin Yen and stared at Pei Yutong. I'm not interested in her. I don't think she has any talent. Let her enjoy her life and watch the competition. This. Pei Yutong hesitated. He really thought that Lin Yen was talented. It would be a pity if she was buried like this. Pei Yutong, she doesn't even know about ZH1. Pei Yutong, she doesn't even know about ZH1. How would she know anything about racing? Ask her if she knows about the third level of the international competition. Has she watched it live? If she had, she would have heard of us. We made it to the top 16 in the previous level. How could she not know about us? The ZH1 team member glanced at Lin Yen contemptuously and sneered in disdain. As a girl, you should focus on being beautiful. Why would you talk about racing? Don't you think that women and racing are incompatible? Racing is such a sacred thing. Don't you think that you should respect it? Another ZH1 racer sneered coldly. Lin Yan's eyes darted to the ZH1 racer. Did he have a grudge against women? Did he look down on female racers? Pei Yutong could only sigh when he saw God Z's unyielding attitude. There was no room for negotiation. But I have a few disciples who have just joined the sect. If she really wants to play, I can discuss with them and take her in as my disciple, God Z suddenly said. That's fine too. God Z's disciple is definitely not bad. Pei Yutong nodded eagerly. He glanced at Lin Yen. Sister Yen, what do you think? Nothing much. I don't have any plans to become your disciple, replied Lin Yen. One of the ZH1 members glared at Lin Yen coldly. Why are you throwing a tantrum because God Z didn't accept you as his disciple? Who gave you the confidence to think that you can be God Z's disciple? Lin Yen was speechless. Was there something wrong with the brains of the top team members that Pei Yutong had invited? Were they mentally ill like her? She had schizophrenia, while the ZH1 members were delusional. Chapter 161. Pei Yutong, tell your friend to be more grounded. Don't be delusional. God Z stood up slowly and glanced at Pei Yutong. I don't think my disciple would accept such a person. I'm going to check the venue. That's all. With that, God Z left the logistics room with his teammates. Hi, don't take it to heart. If you really like racing, I can teach you when I'm free. ZH1's racer, Mumu, strode over to Lin Yen and chuckled softly. Actually, they didn't mean you any harm. Racing isn't for ordinary people. It's extremely dangerous. Of course, if you really like racing and are determined enough, I can give you some guidance. Mumu, that's great. Pei Yutong blurted out hastily. Okay. Leave your contact details later. I'm going to check the venue now. Mumu nodded at Lin Yen and Pei Yutong before he left. After all the ZH1 racers had left, Pei Yutong turned to Lin Yen and exclaimed excitedly, Sister Yen, this is really a glimmer of hope. You're in luck. Although Mumu can't be compared to God Z, he's still very good. He's a good person. Lin Yen nodded in response. What do you mean by good person? He's a good person, but Sister Yen, aren't you focusing on the wrong things? It's his racing skills. Pei Yutong quipped. Lin Yen glanced at Pei Yutong. Where's my limited edition poster? Sister Yen, you're hopeless. How could you be thinking about a stupid poster at such an exciting time? Pei Yutong retrieved a brand new poster from the storage room and handed it to Lin Yen. Lin Yen opened it. Indeed, Pei Nanshu's limited edition poster hadn't disappointed her. Instantly, Lin Yen saw stars. There weren't many limited edition posters. Even famous actresses in the industry couldn't get their hands on one. There's only one. Is that all? Lin Yen rolled up the poster carefully as she asked Pei Yutong. That's all. I only stole one. If you think it's too little, I can steal more next time, replied Pei Yutong. Third young master, Pei Nanshu is your brother. How can this be considered stealing? Go back and get more, quipped Lin Yen. Anyway, it's about the same. Pei Yutong cocked his head to the side. Then, as though he had just recalled something, he hastily added, oh yeah. Sister Yen, follow me during the competition. Watch the ZH1 players compete and learn as much as you can. Lin Yen was speechless. He could even learn this? Then she could just watch the world's top competition on television. What was the point of wasting time here? Sister Yen, there's still some time before the competition starts. I'm going to check out the venue. Go ahead. I'll look for you later. Pei Yutong scampered off. Lin Yen didn't linger. She got up and left. However, just as he left the logistics room, he bumped into a man. "Didn't you bring your eyes out?" The man shouted in displeasure. "I'm sorry. Are you all right?" asked Lin Yen. "It's you?" Wei Shufeng lifted his head and was taken aback when he saw the girl in front of him. Wei Shufeng? Lin Yen hadn't expected that Wei Shufeng would show up here and bump into her by chance. "Did you follow me?" Wei Shufeng stared at Lin Yen with a frown. Lin Yen was speechless. Chapter 162. Why would I follow you? Lin Yen was speechless. "All right, I got it." Wei Shufeng stared at Lin Yen as the corners of his mouth curled into a cold smile. "Lin Yen, let me tell you something. Even if you start racing now, you will only be you. You will never become Yeva." Lin Yen was speechless. Did she need to become Yeva? She had always been Yeva. "Lin Yen, don't think that you can become the person in my heart just because you know my story. You will only make me feel disgusted. Do you understand?" Wei Shufeng's eyes suddenly turned sharp. "Don't try to change yourself into Yeva. You are not worthy, and it is impossible for you to do so." Before Lin Yen could respond, Wei Shufeng's phone rang. "Dad." "What? Now?" Wei Shufeng looked displeased. "I'm at the racetrack. There will be a good show today." "All right, I got it. I will head back now." Wei Shufeng hung up, looking frustrated. D***it. Do I have to watch the He family team's elimination competition in a few days? Wei Shufeng turned to Lin Yen and hissed coldly, "Remember what I said. My goddess will always be Yeva. You will never become her. Be yourself and don't insult Yeva. Otherwise, I will make you regret it." Wei Shufeng didn't give her a chance to respond before he turned and left. Lin Yen hadn't expected that Wei Shufeng would be so interested in the racing competitions in the country. She hadn't expected to bump into him here either. However, if Wei Shufeng hadn't been so obsessed with racing, he wouldn't have had the chance to know Yeva. Wait a minute. What did Wei Shufeng say? That he could only watch the He family team in a few days? Which He family team? Lin Yen rested her chin on her hand as she mulled over this. Only her grandfather's team was in charge of the He family team in the capital city. If that was the case, wouldn't she have to face Wei Shufeng again during the elimination round? Lin Yen began to ponder whether she should change her appearance. She didn't want to say that she had pretended to be Yeva to get close to him. Even so, if Lin Yen really had a chance to compete, Wei Shufeng would have to admit that she was Yeva. Lin Yen couldn't help but feel troubled. It was too difficult for her. Before long, Lin Yen arrived at the arena and surveyed her surroundings. It had to be said that Pei Yutong and Song Yaonan had chosen a decent track. At the very least, it would be able to support a large competition. Lin Yen had watched the two racers and realized that there wasn't much of a difference between them. This time, Pei Yutong and Song Yaonan had put in a lot of effort. There was not much difference in the performance of the racers, so it all depended on the performance of the racers. Especially in a race, the handling of details was crucial. It directly affected the outcome of the race. It was a battle between racers. Sister Yen. Suddenly, Pei Yutong appeared behind Lin Yen and placed his right arm on her left shoulder. Almost instinctively, Lin Yen grabbed his arm. Chapter 163. Lin Yen snapped back to her senses and let go of him. She stared at him, who was perspiring profusely, speechless. Was this kid trying to scare a ghost by sneaking up behind someone's back? Sister Yen, what do you mean? What grudge do you have against me? Why would you want to kill me? Did you grow up eating spinach? How could you be so strong? Pei Yutong swung his arm gently. Lin Yen had almost broken it. Lin Yen was speechless. This kid had run behind her and placed his hand on her shoulder. How dare he blame her? If I had killed you, your arm would have been gone. Lin Yan grinned at Pei Yutong. Sister Yan, you might be strong, but you don't have to brag. Is my arm made of plastic? How could it be gone just like that? Pei Yutong looked indignant. Sister Yan, I'm telling you. If it had been someone else, I would have retaliated. If I had retaliated, I would have either died or been seriously injured. Lin Yan glanced at Pei Yutong. Why was he acting so tough now? Hadn't he been wailing and whining about how his arm was going to be broken? Lin Yan was about to say something when Pei Yutong's eyes darted to the road below. His eyes gleamed coldly. Why is that dog here so early? Pei Yutong snorted coldly. Lin Yan followed Pei Yutong's gaze and scanned the road below. It was none other than Pei Yutong's nemesis, Song Yaonan, and the others. Song Yaonan and his team were smiling as they chatted with a group of foreign racers in blue uniforms. There was a cheetah pattern on the back of the blue uniform. The blue uniform seemed familiar to Lin Yan. She felt as though she had seen it somewhere before. Before Lin Yan could ponder, Pei Yutong tapped her cautiously with his finger. What's wrong? Lin Yan turned to Pei Yutong immediately. Pei Yutong took a few steps back when Lin Yan turned around. Sister Yan, what are you thinking about? You ignored me. Pei Yutong heaved a sigh of relief. Lin Yan's natural reaction had traumatized Pei Yutong. He was afraid that if he wasn't careful, Lin Yan would hurt his poor arm again. Nothing. I was just looking at Song Yaonan's team. Lin Yan grinned. Sister Yan, I don't understand either. What is Song Yaonan up to? Did he hire a foreign team? Pei Yutong stepped forward when he realized that there was no danger. Lin Yan glanced at the team members. Wasn't it obvious enough? They were all foreign racers. Sister Yan, do you know that lousy team? I don't believe that Song Yaonan would be able to hire such an impressive racer. We have ZH1, the best racers in the country, and we have God Z. Pei Yutong was indignant. I think so. Lin Yan fell into deep thought. Before Lin Yan could finish, Pei Yutong shook his head and quipped, Sister Yan, although you're good at racing, you've never learned about the local teams. You don't even know about ZH1 and God Z. How could you know about other teams? Lin Yan was speechless. She really knew. They wore blue racing uniforms with a leopard running at top speed on their backs. They were from a foreign racing team called Speed, which translates to speed. Chapter 164. At that time, Lin Yan's apprentice had coincidentally met the captain of Speed. Lin Yan could still remember how arrogant the captain had been. He had insulted her apprentice in all sorts of ways. In the end, her apprentice had personally sent Speed's captain off the track. What was worth mentioning was that Lin Yan's apprentice had overtaken Speed's captain at the start of the race. He had even waited for Speed's captain for 2.5 minutes. Lin Yan's apprentice had become famous after that race. He had become the champion of the second level of the international competition and had become one of the most popular racers in the second level. His popularity had skyrocketed. Even so, the Speed team couldn't be underestimated. They had made it to the quarterfinals of the second level of the international competition. The ZH1 team that Pei Yutong had invited was nothing compared to the Speed team. They weren't on the same level at all. Speed had made it to the top 8 of the second level of the international competition. ZH1 had made it to the top 16 of the third level of the international competition. Just using data to speak, how could there be even the slightest bit of comparison? The difference between the second and third level of the international competition was like night and day. To put it simply, it was like the difference between a kindergarten student and a university student. Lin Yan glanced at Pei Yutong quietly. Unknowingly, a hint of sympathy flitted across her eyes. Brat, I wish you luck, Sister Yan, look at Song Yaonan. He even invited a few foreign racers. He really doesn't know his place. Does he really think that those foreign racers can help him win this race? Third young master, do you have any special stakes? Lin Yen asked Pei Yutong. Of course. Pei Yutong nodded and sneered coldly. Sister Yen, the stakes are that the loser's team will be disbanded and they will have to scram from the track. Also, they will have to crawl between their opponent's legs. Lin Yen was speechless. Good luck. Why are you looking at me like that? What do you mean? Don't you believe that ZH1 is good? Pei Yutong was displeased when he noticed Lin Yan's expression. Lin Yan stared at Pei Yutong as she pondered how she should broach the topic. Was Pei Yutong brainless? He should have at least tried to find out what kind of team the other party had invited. How were they going to compete now? Even if they risked their lives, they wouldn't be able to defeat the ZH1 team. Third young master, do you think it's possible? Lin Yan eyed him intently. What possibility? Pei Yutong was puzzled. For example, surrendering and losing half of the bet. Replied Lin Yan. If I surrender, I'll lose half. Pei Yutong, who was taken aback by Lin Yan's words, sneered coldly. Sister Yan, are you kidding me? Would I be so kind as to ask Song Yaonan to surrender? Losing half of it? Absolutely impossible. Lin Yan was speechless. Good luck. Sister Yan, just you wait and see. This time, I will make Song Yaonan pay me back with interest. How dare he bully me? He has never suffered a loss before. Pei Yutong grinned. What if I told you that Song Yaonan hired Speed? Asked Lin Yan. Speed? Pei Yutong fell into deep thought. He had never heard of this team before. What team is this? I've never heard of it. Pei Yutong shook his head. Chapter 165. What? Pei Yutong, who was dumbfounded, stared at Lin Yan in disbelief. You participated in the second level of the international competition? You even made it to the quarterfinals? Are you serious, Sister Yan? Don't scare me like that. I know those racers, but I've seen their uniforms when I watched the second level of the international competition. It should be them, replied Lin Yan. Sister Yan, you gave me a fright. I thought you were familiar with them. Pei Yutong heaved a sigh of relief when he heard Lin Yan. Sister Yan, you're not familiar with the teams. Besides, most of their uniforms are similar. You must be mistaken. How could Song Yaonan invite the top 8 racers of the second level of the international competition? What a joke. I can't even invite them. Lin Yan shrugged in response to Pei Yutong's words. Anyway, it was up to Pei Yutong whether he believed her or not. Oh, isn't this young Master Pei who is about to crawl out of my crotch? Song Yaonan and the others strode over to the VIP seats. Song Yaonan, why are you pretending to be a coward? Don't you know who is crawling under whose crotch? Pei Yutong sneered coldly. Song Yaonan didn't waste any more time. He gave Pei Yutong the middle finger before his eyes landed on Lin Yan. His eyes gleamed coldly. Song Yaonan would never forget the humiliation that this woman had brought him. As a woman, she had defeated him in a race. Song Yaonan didn't care about losing the engine. However, he had to regain his dignity. Why? Do you want to participate in this competition? Song Yaonan eyed Lin Yan with a grin. I'm just here to watch the competition, replied Lin Yan. Watch the competition? How can that be? You beat me last time, so I want to give you another chance. Do you dare to bet with me? Song Yaonan quipped. I'm not interested, replied Lin Yan nonchalantly. Pei Yutong, this girl you brought is just like you. She's a coward. Song Yaonan glanced at Pei Yutong. F***CK. Who are you talking about? Pei Yutong's eyes widened in anger as he rolled up his sleeves. Before Pei Yutong could respond, Lin Yan frowned and pushed him behind her. Her eyes landed on Song Yaonan. Lin Yan glared at Song Yaonan and replied coldly, I'm a loyal person. Oh, and then? Song Yaonan asked curiously. You can criticize him, but I can't, replied Lin Yan. Pei Yutong was touched by Lin Yan's words. He nodded repeatedly and said, well said. You can call me a coward, but to say that before he could finish, Pei Yutong was taken aback. He turned to Lin Yan in astonishment. How could this be? Was this what she meant by loyalty? Song Yaonan, what do you want to bet? How do you want to bet? Asked Lin Yan. Let's bet on this competition. The outcome of the competition has nothing to do with our bet. As long as you can beat any of the contestants behind me, you will win. If you lose. Song Yaonan's gaze landed on Pei Yutong as though he was taunting him. You will have to sleep with me for one night. Song Yaonan had always assumed that Lin Yan was Pei Yutong's lover. Hence, he had said this to humiliate Pei Yutong. Chapter 166. Pei Yutong and the other young men and women around Song Yaonan looked perplexed. Even the members of Speed frowned. Lin Yan strode over to Pei Yutong and patted his shoulder gently. Thank you for your hard work. F***CK. Song Yaonan, are you out of your mind? Get lost. Don't come near me. Pei Yutong pointed at Song Yaonan and cursed. Song Yaonan hadn't realized what was going on at first. However, when he saw the expressions on everyone's faces, he finally understood. He had said that he would spend the night with Lin Yan, not Pei Yutong. He had stared at Pei Yutong and said that to provoke him. Wasn't Lin Yan Pei Yutong's lover? Were these people brainless? Couldn't they understand what was going on? Pei Yutong, I'm talking about your lover. I'm not talking about you, Song Yaonan quipped. You want her to spend the night with you? Pei Yutong's eyes trailed to Lin Yan, and he shuddered. No way. If he lost, his big brother would tear him and Song Yaonan to pieces. He would tear them to pieces. He wasn't joking. T. Do you think you're worthy? Pei Yutong pointed at Song Yaonan's nose and yelled, why don't you take a piss and look at yourself? Why? Are you afraid? Are you a coward again? It's fine if you don't dare to bet. Just admit that you're a coward. Song Yaonan sneered coldly. You, Pei Yutong's face was flushed with anger. Before he could retort, Lin Yan stepped forward and grinned. All right, I accept your bet. No. Don't be rash. Pei Yutong gasped when he heard Lin Yan agree to Song Yaonan's bet. This wasn't a joke. Song Yaonan and his men were like bullies. What wouldn't they do? If Lin Yan lost, Big Brother would be alerted. Then, everyone would be in deep trouble. Pei Yutong, what has this got to do with you? This is a bet between me and her, understand? Song Yaonan glanced at Pei Yutong. You haven't told me what will happen if you lose. Lin Yan eyed Song Yaonan intently. If I lose, I'll do whatever you say. Song Yaonan chuckled. If I win. I want 2 engines this time. Replied Lin Yan. Song Yaonan, Pei Yutong. Song Yaonan smirked as he looked at the girl beside him. Did she really think that they could win again? And you want 2 engines? Sure. 2 engines. If you win, you can choose whichever engine you want, Song Yaonan said. Deal. Lin Yan nodded. Pei Yutong dragged Lin Yan to a corner. Sister, big sister-in-law. Daddy. Don't mess with me. If Big Brother finds out, he will blame it on me. He will kill me. Lin Yan glanced at Pei Yutong. If he hadn't forced her to come, this wouldn't have happened. Don't worry. It has nothing to do with you. Besides, your big brother won't know, replied Lin Yan. He won't know? Are you kidding me? Sister Yan, even if Song Yaonan's team can't beat ZH1, defeating you, will be a piece of cake. Pei Yutong was panicking. What are you afraid of? Calm down. I have a plan, replied Lin Yan. Sister Yan, you have to take it easy. You can run away when we race later. I'll handle the rest. Pei Yutong quipped. Alright, I got it. Lin Yan waved at Pei Yutong. P.S. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 years had passed since I had typed the first word. Many of the babies had gotten to know me when I wrote, I wish you a bright radiance. Many of them had been with me since earlier. Second embarrassment didn't have any hobbies other than stroking her cat. All she loved was writing. She loved writing with all of you. The happiest thing was that you liked and approved of the plot that I had put so much effort into writing. There were many times when I almost couldn't hold on. However, because of your support and encouragement, I managed to pull through the most difficult times. I'm grateful to all of you for being by my side all this time. You've allowed me to persevere until today. Now, I'd like to bow to all of my cute babies. Thank you. You're the sweetest and the warmest. I've already informed everyone that this book will be published on the 25th of this weekend. There will be a new chapter on the 25th at around midnight. To thank the babies for their support, there will be a huge wave of activities when the book is published. Activity 1, post a post on QQ Reading Group about the most memorable plot or lines in the novel. If you get more than 100 likes, you will receive a custom-made keychain. It's limited to the first 50 readers. If you get more likes, you will receive another prize. Group 439909781. The event will last from August 25th to August 31st. P.S. There are many types of keychains, including One Day, You Will Like Me, I Wish You a Bright Radiance, Just Like the Cold Light Meets the Blazing Sun, and I'll Have You for the Rest of My Life, Sweet and Warm. You can choose any one of them. You can only win once in this activity, but you can win multiple times with other activities. Activity 2, the top 200 readers on the QQ Reading Group's most active list this month will receive exquisite peripherals of different grades. 1 to 10, full set of peripherals, notebook plus pillow plus keychain plus autographed book, 11-5, notebook plus pillow plus keychain 51-100, notebook plus keychain 101-150, notebook 151-200, keychain, choose one. P.S. Screenshots of all your subscriptions must be provided when you receive the prize. This activity can win multiple times with other activities. The event ends on August 31st, Activity 3, on the day of publication, which is the early morning of the 25th. The third wave of building activities on QQ Reading Group will begin. There will be lots of rewards waiting for you. Chapter 167. It was almost time for the competition, so the staff were busy preparing. All the cars had been placed at the start of the racetrack. ZH1's members had arrived at the venue. ZH1's Mumu was taken aback when he saw Song Yanan's team in the distance. Captain, look! Mumu exclaimed hastily. God Z instinctively glanced at the venue. When he saw Sep's team, he sprang to his feet. Air Commander's team. Speed? God Z was shocked. Pei Yutong, what are you doing? God Z glared at Pei Yutong. Don't you know who they are? Pei Yutong was dumbfounded as well. Was what Lin Yan had said true? Song Yaonan had really invited Speed to the second level of the international competition and had made it to the quarterfinals? Pei Yutong had promised ZH1 that they would definitely win this competition, so they wouldn't have to worry about Song Yaonan. However, ZH1 was competing against Speed. ZH1 was the top team in the country and they hadn't lost in 2 years. Although this wasn't an official competition, they couldn't afford to lose. However, they couldn't be compared to Speed at all, that Ned Pei Yutong. How could he not know about their team? However, Pei Yutong couldn't be blamed entirely. They had been careless and had believed Pei Yutong's words without any investigation. Pei Yutong was at a loss for words. Pei Yutong had thought that he would be able to defeat Song Yaonan by inviting ZH1. Who would have thought that Song Yaonan would be so capable? He had even managed to invite Speed, a team that had made it to the quarterfinals of the second level of the international competition. We are doomed, all the ZH1 members looked ashen. Their best record had been the top 16 of the third level of the international competition. Speed, on the other hand, had made it to the quarterfinals of the second level of the international competition. How could they be compared to Speed? Speed's captain, nicknamed Air Force, was a racer who had raced with Lang Mang before. Lang Mang. He had won several championships on the second-best track in the world. He was also one of the disciples of the racetrack's Grim Reaper, Yeva. No one had ever seen the racetrack's Grim Reaper, Yeva. She had been the champion of the international competition many times in a row, and she was the undisputed champion. She had even surpassed the first level and reached the pinnacle of the racetrack. Her nickname as the racetrack's Grim Reaper wasn't just for show. Ever since she had debuted in the second level, she had dominated the first and second level of the global competition. Many legendary racers had been killed by her. Speed's captain, Air Commander, was a racer who had competed with Yava's disciple. He had already lost before the race had even begun. D****. Who the hell is Song Yaonan? He even called the Air Force team over. One of the ZH1 members gritted his teeth. They were bound to lose today. Who is Air Commander? Pei Yutong asked cautiously. Air Commander is the captain of Speed. He competed with Lang Mang, the disciple of the racetrack's Grim Reaper, in the second level of the international competition, Mumu explained. Chapter 168. Stop spouting nonsense. God Z frowned. If you had investigated the situation earlier, we wouldn't be in such a passive position. Pei Yutong, I'm telling you that we won't win this race. Pei Yutong, you've really done us in. One of the ZH1 racers hissed angrily. No one would participate in a race that they were bound to lose, especially when there was such a huge gap between their levels. What should we do then? Don't be a coward. Pei Yutong broke out in a cold sweat. This was a life-and-death battle between him and Song Yaonan, and he couldn't afford to lose. Whoever lost would not only have to disband his own team, but he would also have to crawl between the opponent's legs. If he really lost this competition, he might as well just die on the spot. If Air Commander isn't here, perhaps we won't lose so badly, God Z muttered solemnly. Air Commander was the core of Speed, but they hadn't seen him around. Perhaps they still had a chance. After all, Air Commander had single-handedly dragged Speed into the second level of the international competition. Not all of Speed's racers had been involved. Lin Yen glanced at Pei Yutong. She had tried to persuade him to surrender, but he hadn't been willing to do so. This kid was too overconfident. Soon, it was time for the race. Both teams strode towards the center of the track. Pei Yutong, let's see how you die this time. Song Yaonan sneered coldly at Pei Yutong as he stroked his neck. Pei Yutong felt a little guilty, but he remained stubborn. Why are you so arrogant? We don't know who will win yet. In that case, let's wait and see, Song Yaonan quipped. Very quickly, a well-built and good-looking speed racer said in a slightly dissatisfied tone, how could I compete with a woman in this race? How boring. The speed racer glanced at Lin Yen coldly. You will have the right to brag in the future. Lin Yen grinned at him. I hope that you will go easy on me. Don't make me lose too badly. No. I will show you how dangerous the track is. Oh yeah. Do you know how to race? Do you know where the accelerator, clutch, and brake are? The speed racer quipped. The speed racers chuckled when they heard him. Lin Yen shrugged and didn't continue the conversation. After the preparations were done, the competition officially began. The rule of the competition was a multiplayer match. The winner would be determined by combining the rankings of the two teams. As the signal flag was waved, the ZH1 and Speed members dashed forward in their cars. The sound of the cars was deafening. The ZH1 members' cars were orange, while the Speed members' cars were blue. The two colors, red and blue, intertwined on the track. The battle between the racers could break out at any moment. Lin Yen scanned the racing track and glanced at the anxious Pei Yutong. ZH1 has lost. Ah. Pei Yutong glanced at Lin Yen, looking dumbfounded. Sister Yen, can't you have some hope for me? If I really lose the competition, would rather die. Lin Yen felt a little helpless. She had merely glanced at them and realized that ZH1 and Speed weren't on the same level. She had merely spoken the truth. Third young master, I think you should be mentally prepared. Lin Yen glanced at him helplessly. Chapter 169. Lin Yen scanned her surroundings. Only one member of Speed was lagging behind God Z. The other members were all ahead. If ZH1 could overtake the rest of the Speed members, they would be able to win. However, that wasn't realistic. After all, there was a huge gap between them. Actually, Pei Yutong didn't need Lin Yen to explain the situation to him. He knew what was going on. Sister Yen, ZH1 is going to lose if this goes on. Isn't that the end for me? Is there any way to salvage the situation? Pei Yutong asked anxiously. I don't think so. Lin Yen shook her head. Do you really want me to disband the team and crawl under Song Yaonan's crotch? No, I can't do that. If my big brother finds out, he will beat me to death. He will never let me race again. Pei Yutong's face was drained of color, and beads of perspiration had formed on his forehead. Lin Yen glanced at Pei Yutong strangely. Was this kid afraid that he would disband the team and crawl under Song Yaonan's crotch? Or was he afraid that his big brother would beat him to death? Before Lin Yen could say anything else, the crowd gasped in surprise. Lin Yen and Pei Yutong turned to look at one of the Speed members who had crossed the finish line. He had removed his helmet and was waving his hands in all directions. F***CK. A member of Speed has crossed the finish line? What the hell? Pei Yutong gritted his teeth. As soon as Pei Yutong finished speaking, another member of the Speed team crossed the finish line at lightning speed. Pei Yutong's face was ashen as he watched the second member of Speed cross the finish line. This meant that the race was over. Based on the number of participants, even if all of ZH1's members crossed the finish line before the rest of Speed's members, they would still lose. ZH1's God Z had crossed the finish line, but it was meaningless to Pei Yutong. He had been defeated by Song Yaonan. I want to die. Just let me die. Pei Yutong muttered in a daze. Lin Yen tugged at Pei Yutong's arm. Sister Yen, don't stop me. Let me die. My big brother will definitely find out about this. He will definitely beat me to death. Pei Yutong whined. All right then. Lin Yen released her grip. Pei Yutong stared at Lin Yen in shock. Sister Yen, how can you be so cruel? Are you really going to stand by and watch as I walk towards destruction? Lin Yen was speechless. Hadn't he asked her to let go? Sister Yen, you have to save me this time. Pei Yutong sobbed. Only you can persuade Big Brother. So you don't mind disbanding the team and crawling under Song Yaonan? Lin Yen eyed him curiously. She really hadn't realized that Pei Yutong was a man of his word. He was a man of his word, and he was willing to admit defeat. Lin Yen had underestimated him. That's right. No way. I would rather die than crawl under Song Yaonan's crotch. Pei Yutong suddenly recalled his bet. Lin Yen was speechless. Chapter 170. After the competition ended, the ZH1 team members returned to Pei Yutong's side and stared at him with unfriendly expressions. If Pei Yutong had done his homework, they wouldn't have competed with Speed. Before the ZH1 members could speak, Song Yaonan led the speed members over. Pei Yutong clenched his fists tightly. He wanted to bite Song Yaonan to death. Young Master Pei Yutong, what's wrong? You look like a dog that has lost its home. It makes my heart ache to see you like this. Song Yaonan sneered coldly at Pei Yutong. Pei Yutong glared at Song Yaonan as the corners of his mouth twitched. He seemed to want to say something, but no words came out of his mouth. After all, the winner was the king, and the loser was the thief. He had already lost this competition, so there was no point in saying anything else. It would only make others mock him even more. When Pei Yutong remained silent, a young man behind Song Yaonan said coldly, Pei Yutong, you haven't forgotten about the bet with Brother Song, have you? What are you waiting for? Are you ready? If you are, crawl under Brother Song's pants. You. Pei Yutong gritted his teeth as his face turned red. Although he had always been suppressed by Song Yaonan, this bet was too big. He wouldn't be able to make a comeback this time. Ha ha. Pei Yutong, what do you think? Should I give you some time to prepare? Don't worry, I'm not in a hurry. You can prepare first. I'll wait for you. Song Yaonan strode forward in front of everyone. Pei Yutong glared at Song Yaonan, veins popping on his forehead. Pei Yutong had set the bet himself. Now that he had lost to Song Yaonan, he could only blame himself for his carelessness. He had failed to understand Song Yaonan thoroughly. When Pei Yutong remained unmoved, the young man beside Song Yaonan sneered coldly. Young Master Pei Yutong, are you trying to renege on your debt? Are you trying to say that you can't afford to gamble? Bullsh *T. When did I ever renege on a bet? Pei Yutong's face darkened as he gritted his teeth. Come on then. I've never been a sore loser. Yeah, what are you waiting for? The young man said. In front of everyone, Pei Yutong bowed slightly. Before Pei Yutong could make a move, Lin Yen pulled him back. Sister Yen? Pei Yutong glanced at Lin Yen in confusion. Why are you in such a hurry? Our bet isn't over yet. Even if you want to fulfill your promise, you have to wait until the bet is over. Oh. Song Yaonan's eyes roamed over to Lin Yen. He studied her intently and grinned. Lass, why? Do you feel sorry for me? Heh. We still have a bet between us. It's better if you feel sorry for yourself first. Lin Yen glanced at Song Yaonan expressionlessly. I'm talking about our bet. The competition between ZH1 and Speed hasn't ended yet. Why? Are you trying to renege on your debt? The young man beside Song Yaonan shouted coldly. Don't be hasty. Lin Yen quipped, Song Yaonan, you were the one who said that our bet would be included in this race. You didn't say that we would have another bet after the competition between ZH1 and Speed. So what? Song Yaonan quipped. Lin Yen grinned. Based on our bet, I can be considered a member of ZH1. Am I right? Song Yaonan didn't retort. This woman was playing word games with him. He wanted to see what she was up to. You can think of it that way, replied Song Yaonan. In that case, according to the rules, I'm the last member of ZH1. Hence, all members of Speed have to race. If anyone reaches the finish line before me, we will lose this race, Lin Yen explained. The ZH1 members couldn't help but burst into laughter when they heard Lin Yen. Was this woman serious when she said those words? There was nothing wrong with the rules. However, there was a prerequisite. If Lin Yen wanted to turn the tables, she would have to beat the entire Speed team. If any member of Speed took the lead, ZH1 would lose the race. Chapter 171. You can't even be considered an amateur racer. Do you think you can beat Speed? One of the ZH1 members frowned at Lin Yen, his eyes filled with disgust. What was this? Was she trying to impress the crowd? What kind of joke was this? Are you even fit to compete with us? One of the speed members eyed Lin Yen coldly. Lin Yen chuckled softly as she eyed Song Yaonan. Why? Are you afraid? In that case, ZH1 and speed will be considered a draw. Everyone will go home and no one will suffer any losses. What do you think? To put it bluntly, Lin Yen didn't want to get involved in this mess. It would be best if she didn't have to compete. Lass, you're really cute. Song Yaonan gazed at Lin Yen, his lips curling into a smile. Sure, it's fine if you want to waste time. Competing with speed is enough for you to brag for the rest of your life. Anyway, you're mine tonight, so I shall fulfill your wish. However, you have to put in more effort when you're with me. Otherwise, I won't let you down. Song Yaonan turned to the speed members. According to our agreement, she's right. Sorry to trouble you. It will only take a few minutes. All right then. The speed members reluctantly agreed to Song Yaonan's request. Not only are the racers and teams in the country low class, but even a racing enthusiast is shameless. TSK. The racing industry in the country is really low class. One of the speed members sneered coldly as he strode back to his car. Do you have an extra uniform? Lin Yen asked God Yen. Sister Yen, why are you still wearing the uniform? Let's go. I'll go with you. Pei Yutong gave Lin Yen a thumbs up discreetly. Pei Yutong assumed that Lin Yen was trying to trick Song Yaonan and the others so that they would let their guard down. Once Lin Yen got into the car, she would dash out of the racetrack with him. Are you even fit to wear ZH1's uniform? One of the ZH1 members hissed coldly. Don't say that. Mumu shook his head at him. Mumu, get her a uniform and a helmet, God Yen instructed. Mumu ran to the logistics room and handed a small uniform to Lin Yen. Lin Yen put on her uniform casually and took the helmet from him. Use my previous car. It has the best performance. God Yen told Lin Yen, don't force yourself. Otherwise, you will die. Thanks. Lin Yen waved her hand and strode towards the track. Sister Yen, wait for me. Pei Yutong hurriedly chased after her. At that moment, all the speed members had boarded their cars and were ready to go. Lin Yen, on the other hand, was sifting through ZH1's car. Sister Yen, find a car. It's time for us to leave. Pei Yutong whispered to her. Cut the crap, snapped Lin Yen. Pei Yutong, this is it. Lin Yen got into Mumu's car. The ZH1 team members outside the track frowned. Oh, there's no problem with that woman's brain, right? The performance of Mumu's racing car is ordinary. The main problem is the tires, the grip is not good, and the rear end is easy to drift. Why? Do you really expect her to race against speed? One of the team members sneered. Any car would be the same to her. Chapter 172. After Lin Yen chose her car, she opened the door and got into the driver's seat. Then, Pei Yutong got in as well. What are you doing? Lin Yen stared at Pei Yutong, who looked confused. Pei Yutong fastened his seatbelt and replied, of course we're running. Sister Yen, didn't you say you wanted to take me with you? Pei Yutong was even more confused than Lin Yen. Judging by her expression, she didn't seem willing to let him get in the car. Did she not intend to take him with her? Lin Yen sighed heavily. How could this kid be so good at adding drama to the drama? When had she ever said that she wanted to take Pei Yutong with her? She hadn't mentioned it at all. Could his imagination run wild? Get off. Lin Yen glared at Pei Yutong and waved her hands. I'm not getting off. Pei Yutong shook his head frantically. Sister Yen, you can't do this. We have to run together. Are you getting off or not? The corners of Lin Yan's mouth twitched as she stared at Pei Yutong. I'm not getting off. I won't get off even if I die. Pei Yutong sounded resolute. All right, you said it. Don't beg me when the time comes. Lin Yen shrugged. She had tried her best to persuade this kid to get off the car, but he was the one who refused to get off. She couldn't blame him then. Even professional navigators, who had undergone special training, wouldn't dare get in her car. Lin Yen ignored Pei Yutong and stepped on the clutch. She glanced at the accelerator and brakes. A second later, the signal flag was waved. As the signal flag was waved, the speed team's cars emitted a pleasant roar. In the blink of an eye, a few cars driven by the speed members left the starting point and disappeared without a trace. Lin Yen was still stepping on the clutch as she wiped the dust off the steering wheel. Sister Yen, what are you doing? Are we running or not? Pei Yutong stared at Lin Yen in confusion. Why are you in such a hurry? I haven't lost yet. It won't be too late to run after we lose the competition. Lin Yen glanced at Pei Yutong. Pei Yutong was taken aback when he heard Lin Yen. He mulled over her words and realized that she did make sense. She hadn't lost yet. Why would he run if he hadn't lost? He would run after Lin Yen lost. He would piss off that bastard Song Yaonan. Sister Yen, even if you want to compete, why don't you take the train? You won't even be able to breathe in the exhaust fumes of the speed team. Pei Yutong exclaimed anxiously. Lin Yen didn't reply. She merely tossed her phone to him. Instinctively, Pei Yutong took Lin Yan's phone, looking perplexed. What did she mean? Sister Yen, I have a phone. I don't need it. Pei Yutong glanced at Lin Yen. You wish. Lin Yen replied impatiently, pick a song for me. It has to be explosive and exciting. Otherwise, I won't feel anything at all. She couldn't bring herself to compete against a team of Speed's caliber. Meanwhile, outside the track, the ZH1 team members stared at the orange car, which had yet to start. They shook their heads. What the hell are we doing? Why are we making that ignorant woman wear our F1 uniform and drive our car? One of the F1 team members sneered disdainfully as he stared at the orange car. Chapter 173. Why? Do you really think that woman will be able to compete with the SP team? It's best that she doesn't start, in case something happens to her on the track. She might even lose her life. Another team member chuckled. It's best if she stays there and waits for the SP team to finish. Let's just take it as a formality. We will leave later. We are unlucky this time. At the same time, in the car, Pei Yutong was speechless. Was she really here to compete? Pei Yutong bowed his head and typed in a few letters. About 4 seconds later, the phone rang. Not bad. What song is it? Are from NRNS, Pei Yutong replied instinctively. Sister Yen, why aren't you moving? I'm almost done with the race. Pei Yutong was dumbfounded when he saw Lin Yen listening to the music with her eyes closed. Don't be anxious. The chorus is coming. The corners of Lin Yan's mouth curled into a mysterious smile as she stepped on the brakes and accelerator. Only you haven't given up yet when everyone else has stopped trying, when all hope has been worn away by setbacks where I am everything has a cause and effect, and nothing comes easy. So tell me. Will the stars align? Will the hand of God intervene to alter the laws of the universe and deliver us from the sins we have committed? I have no scruples, because the country I've built will stand for eternity. Almost as soon as the chorus played, the ear-piercing roar of the car reverberated throughout the stadium. F***CK. Sister Yen, what are you doing? Pei Yutong grabbed his seatbelt hastily. If you don't release the brakes, the rear tires will heat up. It will be too dangerous if we rush out. However, Lin Yen acted as though she hadn't heard Pei Yutong. She straightened her body and the smile on her face vanished without a trace. Lie down, Lin Yen said. Huh? Pei Yutong was startled. Before Pei Yutong could snap back to his senses, Lin Yan pushed the back of his seat and made him lie down instantly. Lin Yan retrieved a plastic bag from the car and threw it at Pei Yutong. Pei Yutong held the plastic bag as he stared at Lin Yan in shock. What was she doing? After a few seconds, the rhythm of the music reached its climax. At that moment, Lin Yan finally let go of the brakes. Swoosh! The orange-red racing car was like an afterimage as it flew out in an instant. As Lin Yan had been stepping on the brakes, the rear wheels of the car had lost their grip on the ground. The rear of the car tilted at a beautiful angle, reducing air resistance instantly. Wow! Pei Yutong vomited instantly. Fortunately, he still had the plastic bag that Lin Yan had thrown at him. Ah! Pei Yutong's face was as white as a sheet. This was more unbearable than a roller coaster ride. He felt as though he had been thrown out of the car. Sister Yan Yan. Pei Yutong shuddered as he stared at Lin Yan in horror. What was she doing here? Was she going to kill herself with him? However, Lin Yan seemed to have been cut off from the rest of the world. All she could see was the racetrack. I want to get out of the car. I'm going to crawl between Song Yaonan's legs. I'm going to die. I was wrong. Pei Yutong almost fainted from the strong force of the car and the impact of the speed. Chapter 174. Whoosh! As Pei Yutong spoke, the orange-red car reached its maximum speed. Even the car was shaking violently, and the rear wheels were slipping. The car was like a python that swam swiftly in Lin Yan's hands. Meanwhile, outside the track, the ZH-1 team members sprang to their feet as they stared at the orange car that was approaching speed. Their eyes were filled with indescribable shock. That woman is crazy. She has a death wish. One of the ZH-1 team members exclaimed anxiously. This speed had already reached a crazy level. Mumu's racing car didn't have a strong grip on the ground to begin with, and with the woman constantly stepping on the brakes and accelerator, the rear wheels had already heated up, causing their grip to weaken. If they made any mistakes, it would be impossible for them to survive at such a speed. The car would be destroyed and the people would die. God's face darkened as he stared at Lin Yan's car. What was that woman doing? Was she racing or courting death? She has completely abandoned the brakes. Mumu frowned deeply. Without the brakes, she really didn't know anything about racing. Otherwise, how could she have dared to control the car like that? She's going to die, exclaimed one of the ZH-1 team members. Oh no. God's face was solemn. There were 3 corners ahead of them, and without the brakes, they were afraid that something bad would happen. However, given the current circumstances, who could stop that car? No one could. Now, there was nothing that could stop that racing car. Describing it as a runaway wild horse wasn't enough to describe it. Song Yaonan was dumbfounded as well. Even if she couldn't win, she shouldn't be courting death. We're almost at the corner. Mumu yelled anxiously. The speed team members were the first to reach the corner. Every car driven by the speed team would activate the brakes when they reached the corner. They would then use the brakes and the speed of the car to tilt and drift. The speed team had just finished drifting when Lin Yan's car caught up to them. Based on Lin Yan's speed, it would take her at most 10 seconds to reach the curve. Pei Yutong was gradually getting used to it. He no longer felt as nauseous as before. When Pei Yutong saw the bend in front of him, he yelled anxiously, Sister Yan, hurry. It's a bend. Slow down. F***ck. However, Pei Yutong realized that Lin Yan didn't care about him at all. She continued to do whatever she wanted, as though she was immersed in her own world. Her face was expressionless, and her eyes were cold and distant. Pei Yutong's face turned ashen when he saw that they were about to reach a bend. Swish! Lin Yan turned the steering wheel. The orange-red racing car glided along the curve of the road. Lin Yan used the same maneuver to complete the next 2 turns. Originally, these 3 bends needed to be stopped 3 times in between, so they had to go through them in 3 different ways. However, when it came to Lin Yan, her movements were as smooth as flowing water. It was as though she had passed 3 fatal turns in a row. Visually, she didn't seem to have stopped at all. Chapter 175. The ZH1 members watched the scene unfold before them. One of the ZH1 team members rubbed his eyes and stared blankly at the orange-red racing car that had already passed the 3rd bend. Instead of slowing down, it was speeding up. How? How is that possible? 3 turns in one go. She didn't rely on the braking system. She must be lying. What kind of maneuver is that? Mumu's jaw dropped in disbelief. Is that even possible? God rose to his feet, his eyes filled with shock. He had never seen such maneuvers before. Not even once. On the track, one of the speed members heard a deafening roar behind him and instinctively glanced at the rearview mirror. F***CK. With just one look, the speed member's expression changed drastically. Through the rearview mirror, he could see that Lin Yan's car was racing like a wild beast on a grassland as it sped towards them. What is she doing? The speed member cursed as he hurriedly tried to shake Lin Yan off. Before he could do anything, an orange-red light flashed and Lin Yan's car disappeared into the distance. All that was left was a plume of exhaust in the air. Then, Lin Yan's car overtook the second speed member's car. F***CK. What the F***CK? Pei Yutong, who was dumbfounded, stared at Lin Yan. What the hell was going on? Pei Yutong couldn't describe what he was feeling right now. What had he just seen? Daddy. How did you do that? What kind of maneuver was that? Pei Yutong asked Lin Yan in shock. However, Lin Yan continued to ignore him. Daddy. Say something. Pei Yutong was unwilling to give up when Lin Yan ignored him. Shut up. Lin Yan finally snapped impatiently. Okay. Pei Yutong nodded furiously. Lin Yan sped past the 3rd speed car. She's catching up? One of the speed team members was taken aback. However, he didn't think too much about it. He sped up and used his car to block Lin Yan's orange car. As long as they could stop Lin Yan and allow their teammates to reach the finish line, they would win. As long as any of the speed members were in front of Lin Yan, she would definitely lose. You want to play this game with me? Lin Yan sneered coldly when she noticed that the car was moving in the same direction as her. Then, she dashed towards the back of the car. No, no, no. Sister Yan, Daddy, who do you want to die with? Pei Yutong panicked. At this speed, none of them would survive, including the speed member in front of them. Lunatic. Motherf ***Cur. This lunatic. As Lin Yan's orange car sped toward them, the speed team members' faces fell as they cursed loudly. When that woman did this, he didn't even have the time to give way. His mind went blank as the orange car was about to collide with him. All he could do was step on the accelerator and widen the gap between him and Lin Yan. However, the orange car was too fast and seemed to be out of control. He couldn't widen the gap between him and Lin Yan. Chapter 176. Whoosh. Just as the orange racing car was about to collide with the speed team's car, the front of the racing car suddenly swerved to the left like a snake. The front of the racing car was pulled to the limit. A second later, the orange car overtook the speed racer's car and swerved to the right without any hesitation. The car brushed past the speed racer's car as Lin Yan overtook it. After Lin Yan overtook them, the speed driver slowed down and stopped at the rightmost lane. The speed team member pushed the car door open and got out. He shouted angrily, "Are you trying to kill me?" However, the orange car was nowhere to be seen. There was only the pungent smell of exhaust gas in the air. Outside the track, all the ZH1 members, including God, were rooted to the spot. Perhaps the speed racer hadn't been able to see how Lin Yan's orange car had overtaken them. However, they had seen everything clearly. The word breathtaking wasn't enough to describe the moment when Lin Yan had overtaken him. No one would have dared to do that on this track. Furthermore, while it looked like he was gambling with his life, every single detail was flawless. It was impossible for any mishaps to occur. How was she driving? She had become one with her car. The moment she overtook the other car, the orange-red car had become a part of her. Other than breathtakingly perfect, there was no other way to describe it. There was only one speed racer left on the track. The orange-red racing car had already caught up to them. What is that? The last speed racer had no idea what had happened. All he saw was a flash of red light, and Lin Yan had overtaken him. The last remaining speed racer was dumbfounded when he saw the orange-red racing car cross the finish line in an instant and make use of its inertia to stop the car. Are you kidding me? The last speed racer had reached the finish line after Lin Yan. He stopped his car and stared at the orange car in disbelief. At this moment, the wheels of the orange racing car were still steaming. ZH1's team members were still in a daze. What do you mean? One of them asked in a trembling voice as he gazed at the orange car. We won. We won. We really won. We actually beat Speed. How could this happen? Who is that woman? How could she be just a racing enthusiast? This woman's racing style is similar to Lang Mang's. Could she be related to Lang Mang? Lang Mang has a few mysterious disciples. Could she be one of them? Lin Yan opened the door and got out of the car. Lin Yan glanced at the wheel, which was still smoking, and grinned. It's a so-so. F***CK. Sister Yan, Daddy. How did you do that? How did you do that? Pei Yutong kicked the door open and rushed to Lin Yan. Lin Yan glanced at his pale face and decided not to waste her breath. Even if she explained everything to him, it would be useless. This wasn't something that could be learned easily. If an ordinary person were to try this, they would die if they weren't careful. Chapter 177. The Speed team members glanced at each other before turning to Lin Yan. They were at a loss for words. Don't be so arrogant. The competition isn't over yet. One of the Speed team members bellowed, Our captain, Air Commander, will be here soon. Lin Yan glanced at the other Speed team members. Oh. Before the Speed team member could respond, ZH1 and Song Yaonan ran over. Hey, isn't this young Master Song? Why do you look like a stray dog? How pitiful. Pei Yutong sneered coldly when he saw Song Yaonan. Song Yaonan glanced at Lin Yan and Pei Yutong gloomily. Calm down. Captain Air Commander will be here soon. We haven't finished the competition yet. Air Commander Lin Yan fell into deep thought. Speed's captain had met her disciple, Lang Mang, during the second level of the international competition. They had competed together, but Lang Mang had crushed him. However, Air Commander's control of the racetrack was much better than the Speed team members. They weren't on the same level. After all, Speed's captain had single-handedly dragged them into the second level of the international competition. However, to Lin Yan, competing with Air Commander was no different from competing with Speed's members. She wasn't interested at all. Air Commander is here too. God of Thunder glanced at one of the Speed team members with a frown. They hadn't seen Air Commander earlier, so they had assumed that he wouldn't show up. However, the Speed team member had said that he would be here soon. Why? Are you afraid? Song Yaonan sneered coldly. I thought that Air Commander wouldn't have to compete, but it seems like he has to. ZH1's team members' hearts sank when they heard Song Yaonan. Speed's core member was Air Commander. If Air Commander competed, how could Lin Yen compete? But we have already finished the competition. Air Commander isn't here, so we can't be blamed, one of the ZH1 team members said to Song Yaonan. According to your logic, the race was already over, so why can this woman continue to compete on the track? That's the rule, the Speed team member retorted. Let's wait for your captain then, Lin Yen replied nonchalantly. Lin Yen replied nonchalantly and waved her hand dismissively. Go and get some rest. Call me when your commander arrives. Lin Yen didn't turn back as she strode to the arena. ZH1's members hurried after Lin Yen. Sister Yen, wait for me. Pei Yutong had wanted to argue with Song Yaonan, but Lin Yen had already left. Hence, he hurried after her. A moment later, in the preparation area, Lin Yen picked up a random magazine and sat on the stool to read it with relish. ZH1's team members approached Lin Yen. That, Miss Lin, one of the ZH1 members grinned at Lin Yen. Lin Yen put down the magazine and asked curiously, what happened? Miss Lin, I think there might have been some misunderstanding between us before, Team 1 said seriously. What misunderstanding? Lin Yen glanced at them, unsure of what they were trying to say. Before this, I thought that Miss Lin was just an amateur racing enthusiast. I didn't expect Miss Lin to be so good. With Miss Lin's control of the racetrack and the level of control you have over your car, I think it wouldn't be a problem for you to join one of the top teams in the country and participate in the third level of the international competition. Chapter 178. The third level of the international competition? Me? Lin Yen was startled. She wasn't really interested in the third level of the international competition. Yeah. God nodded and said, I watched Miss Lin's race. If you're interested in joining the team, it wouldn't be a problem. If this woman was willing to join ZH1, they would be in the top 5 when they entered the third level of the international competition. They might even be in the top 3. Sister Yen, you're amazing. Pei Yutong scurried over and gazed at Lin Yen intently. Sister Yen, join my team. I'm sure you can lead my team to the top. Your team? God glanced at Pei Yutong. Your team doesn't even qualify for the second-tier competitions in the country. If you let Miss Lin join, it will be a waste of talent. However, it will be different if Miss Lin is willing to join Team 1. Team 1 is qualified to compete in the third-tier international competition. Miss Lin just needs to train with us for a while. I am confident that Miss Lin can compete with us in the third-tier international competition. To ZH1, the third level of the international competition was considered a grand competition. If Lin Yen loved racing, she wouldn't give up on the third level of the international competition. That seems to make sense. Pei Yutong fell into deep thought. Lin Yen grinned and picked up the magazine. She wasn't interested in the third level of the international competition. She was sick of the first level, let alone the third level. Besides, she had been banned from competing. Of course, the ban wasn't the main reason. She wasn't interested. She would be like a well-trained adult beating up a child. She couldn't bring herself to do something like that. Miss Lin, was it luck that you made 3 consecutive turns and swung left and right to overtake the other car? Or, one of the ZH1 team members glanced at Lin Yen and asked cautiously. Although it was a little rude to ask this question, and no matter how he looked at it, it couldn't be luck. If passing the first curve was luck, could it be that passing the other 2 curves was also luck? There were too many details that had to be taken care of at the end. A single mistake could result in a car crash. However, Lin Yen had managed to overtake the car smoothly. It didn't look like luck at all. But even so, 3 consecutive turns and overtaking was too amazing. If it wasn't luck, it would be too terrifying. Luck? Perhaps. Lin Yen grinned and gave him an ambiguous answer. What luck? How could it be luck? F***CK. You guys weren't in Sister Yen's car. I was in the passenger seat the entire time, so I saw everything clearly. If it was luck, Sister Yen and I would have been killed. Pei Yutong looked agitated. Pei Yutong had watched as Lin Yen operated the car crazily. Her eyes were calm and focused. Luck, my foot. Alright, let's not talk about this. Deity suddenly said, Miss Lin, you may not know Air Commander well. I'm afraid it will be difficult for you to win against him later. I've seen some video information about Air Commander's racetrack. You can take this opportunity to learn more about him. Chapter 179. There's no need for that, replied Lin Yen. There's no need for that? God was taken aback. Didn't you say that it would be difficult for me to win? Since I can't win, I don't want to waste my time. Lin Yen grinned at him. Captain, what Miss Lin said does make sense, Mumu told God. Before Deity could say anything else, he heard a bang and the door of the preparation area was kicked open. At that moment, a tall, fat man with both hands in his trouser pockets swaggered in. Wow, not bad. The fat man scanned the crowd before his eyes landed on Lin Yen. I didn't know that Pei Yutong had found an expert. Song Zi? Pei Yutong frowned when he saw the fat man. His name was Song Zi, and he was Song Yaonan's older brother. He was famous in the capital city for being a spoiled brat. A few years ago, he had been involved in a fight at a bar. Apparently, they had fought over a girl and injured the other party. Song Zi had disappeared for a few years after that. Who would have thought that he would resurface? Big brother, slow down. Wait for me. Song Yaonan chased after him with a dozen young men. Useless thing. Song Zi eyed Song Yaonan coldly. You can't even handle a woman. Why do I have a useless brother like you? Song Yaonan, who looked aggrieved, muttered softly, You can't blame me. Song Zi sneered coldly as he stroked his chin and studied Lin Yen. This girl looked pretty and familiar. She looked like an actress, but she was much prettier. He pointed at Lin Yen. Lass, you don't have to accompany my brother tonight. You just have to serve me. What did you say? Pei Yutong was enraged. Lin Yen tugged at Pei Yutong and grinned at Song Zi. You have to beat me first. Wow, you are so arrogant. Do you think you are good at racing? Do you feel a little arrogant after beating a few speed members? You don't even care about the Air Force? Song Zi's lips curled up slightly. The speed members' faces darkened, but they didn't say anything. Even they felt embarrassed. The four of them had been on the track at the same time, but they had been kicked out by a woman. No matter how angry they were, they didn't have the face to say anything. It was too embarrassing. Not only had they embarrassed Speed, but they had also embarrassed their captain, Air Commander. Girl, Air Force won't even need a minute to send you off the track. You're an adult now, you should know your place, Song Zi said. That's impressive. Lin Yen nodded. Alright then. Get the Air Force here. Miss Lin, don't be rash. At that moment, God hurried forward and whispered to Lin Yen, Miss Lin, I understand how you feel, but you have to know something first. What is it? Asked Lin Yen. Your opponent is Speed's captain, Air Commander. He once fought against Lang Mang, one of the disciples of the racetrack's Grim Reaper. God frowned. That's impressive. What happened next? Lin Yen grinned. The result isn't important. What's important is that Air Commander made it to the top 8 of the second level of the international competition. Originally, Speed wouldn't have qualified to participate in the second level of the international competition. However, because of their captain, Air Commander, he managed to elevate Speed's level. Chapter 180. God told Lin Yen solemnly, Air Commander didn't just qualify for the second level of the international competition. He also placed 8th. Miss Lin, do you understand what I'm trying to say? Lin Yen wasn't dumb, so she understood what God was trying to say. He was trying to tell her how terrifying Air Commander was and how good he was at controlling the racetrack. Besides, Air Commander mentioned in an interview that he knew Lang Mang's coach, the racetrack's Grim Reaper. He even learned a few tricks from him. He's really scary, Moo muttered softly. You know the racetrack's Grim Reaper? Lin Yen was perplexed. When had she ever met Air Commander? She didn't know him at all. How had he learned a few tricks from him? Where had he learned them? In her dreams? Miss Lin, there's no need for us to be angry with them. Previously, we lost one race, and now, you've won another one. According to the rules, this is a draw. We can delay the last race indefinitely. This way, there won't be a winner. Miss Lin, you and Pei Yutong won't have to pay any price. God analyzed the situation to Lin Yen. That's what I meant. Pei Yutong nodded eagerly. Both he and Lin Yen had agreed to the bet with Song Yaonan. However, based on the current situation, they hadn't lost. According to the rules, this was a draw, so there was no need for them to pay any price. Miss Lin, only a fool would bet on a bet that he knows he will lose. As long as we use the rules reasonably, we will be invincible. The rules of this race have never stated when the next round can be carried out after a tie. Deity smiled. Actually, Song Yaonan and Pei Yutong had been too arrogant. Both Song Yaonan and Pei Yutong had believed that they would win. Thus, they hadn't set the rules for overtime after a draw. Coincidentally, their arrogance had allowed God to find a loophole in the rules. God Yen and Lin Yen analyzed the situation. There were two main reasons. If Lin Yen and Air Commander were to compete, she wouldn't be able to win. She would definitely lose. In that case, they would lose the competition and Lin Yan's bet. Would they really have to let Lin Yen lose the competition and spend the night with Song Yaonan or Song Zi? God didn't care if Pei Yutong would crawl under Song Yaonan's crotch and disband his team. It had nothing to do with him. Even if Pei Yutong lost and fulfilled his end of the bet, he deserved it. He shouldn't implicate Lin Yen and Pei Yutong. Huh, what's wrong? You don't dare to compete anymore? Why are you so cowardly? Hearing Deity's analysis, Song Zi suddenly sneered. Hearing Song Zi's words, Deity said lightly, Is your provocation useful to us? As long as we don't want to, we can extend the overtime indefinitely. You will never win against Miss Lin and me. Cowards are not cowards. It's meaningless to say that. We are a racing team, and we only act according to the rules. Chapter 181. Why are you talking so much? Aren't you just a coward? You don't even have the guts to compete. How can you boast? Song Zi's face darkened. If they followed God's plan, they wouldn't be able to beat ZH1, let alone that woman. If they refused to compete, how could they win? Ha ha. What a bunch of cowards. Song Zi smirked. Pei Yutong, you're not a man at all. You've disgraced a man. Pei Yutong pursed his lips and replied nonchalantly, So what? I won't compete with you during the overtime. Are you angry? I'm going to piss all of you off. It didn't matter if he lost, but he couldn't drag Lin Yen down with him. If he didn't compete, no one would suffer a loss. Their opponent was the famous Air Commander, who had made it to the top 8 of the second level of the international competition. There was nothing wrong with his brain. Why would he participate in a competition that he was bound to lose? Ha! Song Zi took a few steps forward and stood beside Pei Yutong. His plump palm gently patted Pei Yutong's right cheek. Little B** starred, you are really crafty. F** CKU. Pei Yutong glared at him furiously, veins popping on his forehead. He wanted to hit him, but he restrained himself. He had promised Big Brother that he would never fight again. Otherwise, he would have to bear the consequences himself. Why? You want to fight back? Why don't you try? Song Zi continued to pat Pei Yutong's face. Before Pei Yutong could respond, Lin Yan sprang to her feet and glared at Song Zi. I didn't say that I wouldn't compete. Song Zi, who was startled by Lin Yan's words, stopped and glanced at her. All right, you said it. I didn't break the rules and force you to compete. Of course, replied Lin Yan. ZH1's team members and Pei Yutong's expressions changed. Was Lin Yan crazy? They could have used the rules of the track to endlessly extend the overtime. Sigh, God's God stared at Lin Yan and sighed softly. Lin Yan was too impulsive. She had fallen into their trap. Song Zi and the others couldn't wait for Lin Yan to agree. Sister Yan, are you crazy? Pei Yutong gazed at Lin Yan in shock. Our opponent is Speed's captain, Air Commander. However, it was pointless to say anything now. Lin Yan had already agreed to it, and someone like Song Zi wouldn't give her a chance to change her mind. Song Zi immediately took out his phone and dialed a number. Hello, Air Force, when are you arriving? All right, it's in Team 1's preparation area. Come on in and prepare for overtime. With that, Song Zi hung up the phone. After a few minutes, there was a knock on the door. Song Yaonan hurried forward and opened the door to the arena. A young man, who was wearing a blue Speed uniform and holding a helmet in his hands, strolled into the arena. Captain. When they saw the man, the rest of the Speed members quickly surrounded him. They looked extremely aggrieved, like children who had done something wrong. They didn't dare to look at the man directly. Air Commander had short hair and looked very spirited. However, he looked a little unhappy at the moment. What's wrong? I heard that the four of you lost to a girl. Air Commander glanced at the Speed members. This was a huge humiliation for Air Commander and Speed. Chapter 182. Captain, I'm sorry. We were careless. If you could give us another chance. One of the Speed team members gritted his teeth. Air Commander wasn't the only one who felt humiliated. Give you another chance? Air Commander sneered. On the track, a win is a win, and a loss is a loss. If you lose the race, you can point at your opponent and say, if you have the guts, run another race. Was it my fault just now? The Speed team members were rendered speechless by Air Commander's rebuttal. Just as Air Commander had said, on the racetrack, a win was a win, and a loss was a loss. The racetrack only cared about the results. Who would care if you had performed poorly or made any mistakes? I'm really disappointed with your performance this time. 4 of you surrounded a girl on the track, but she still overtook you. Looks like I'll have to think about changing to a new group of team members, Air Commander said coldly. The Speed team members lowered their heads in unison. Indeed, Air Commander was right. The 4 of them couldn't beat a girl on the track. If word got out, all right, Air Commander, don't blame them. This was an exhibition race, not an official race. Besides, the girl isn't famous. It's understandable that they underestimated her and didn't go all out. Song Zi chuckled. The rest of the Speed members looked at Song Zi gratefully. They felt that what Song Zi said was right, and it stabbed straight into their hearts. If they had known that the girl was capable, they wouldn't have let their guard down. They would have given it their all the moment they had left the starting line. They wouldn't have given the girl a chance. Song Zi, don't worry. Although my team member made a small mistake, the outcome will be the same. We won't lose this race, Air Commander assured Song Zi. Haha. Of course I believe in you. You are one of the top 8 in the second level of the international competition. How could there be a mishap? Song Zi chuckled. By the way, Air Commander, you mentioned that you know Lang Mang. When are you going to introduce him to us? I'll make sure that you're satisfied with the arrangements, Song Yaonan said with a grin. Haha. Lang Mang is my most respected rival. If there's a chance, I might even be able to invite the racetrack's Grim Reaper. Air Commander grinned. Really? Song Yaonan was shocked. Air Commander Almighty, did you say that you knew him? Of course. Air Commander glanced at Song Yaonan. I remember that it was during the second level of the international competition. It was Lang Mang's first time participating in a large-scale competition. His master, the racetrack's Grim Reaper, came to cheer for him. You don't know how much the racetrack's Grim Reaper admires me. She said that I have more potential than Lang Mang and wanted to take me in as her disciple. However, I didn't agree. Air Commander's God. Song Yaonan was shocked as he gave Air Commander a thumbs up. Awesome. Lin Yen was rendered speechless by Air Commander's words. This fellow sure knew how to brag. She didn't even know him, yet he said that his potential was above Lang Mang's. She even wanted to take him as her disciple, yet he rejected her? How shameless could he be? Air God, let's talk about this later. Let's win this competition first, and then I'll arrange the banquet, Song Zi said. The most important thing right now was overtime. Everything else could be discussed during the banquet. Chapter 183. I'm curious to know who beat 4 of my team members. Air Commander stood rooted to the ground as he surveyed the ZH-1 team members and Pei Yutong coldly. It's me. Lin Yen waved her hand and gestured for the ZH-1 team members to move away. Soon, they retreated to a corner. Lin Yen stared at Air Commander with a stoic expression. Just for fun? Ha ha ha. You have a death wish. If it hadn't been for this race, would you have competed with our captain? You can brag about it for the rest of your life. One of the ZH-1 team members mocked Lin Yen. However, the moment Air Commander saw Lin Yen, the smile on his face froze. His eyes were filled with disbelief and astonishment. Very quickly, Air Commander frowned deeply. He shook his head and rubbed his eyes with his hands. Was he hallucinating or seeing things? Air Commander glanced at Lin Yen again. Air Commander's eyes landed on Lin Yen, and his pupils constricted. He instinctively took a few steps back in an exaggerated manner. How could this be? How could this happen? Was he dreaming? That woman. That face. The racetrack's Grim Reaper. Air Commander gasped as he stared at Lin Yen. Even though the racetrack's Grim Reaper had deliberately concealed his appearance every time he appeared, and some people didn't even know whether he was a man or a woman, or whether he was handsome or ugly, Air Commander had seen the racetrack's Grim Reaper's true appearance. Back then, Lang Mang had participated in the second level of the international competition for the first time. It had also been his first time entering the second level. The racetrack's Grim Reaper had accepted Lang Mang's invitation to watch the race. Although many professional racers knew that the racetrack's Grim Reaper had appeared, there were many people in the VIP area. Hence, no one knew who the racetrack's Grim Reaper was. After the race, Air Commander had been curious about the racetrack's Grim Reaper, so he had secretly followed Lang Mang. In the end, in a separate preparation room, Air Commander saw with his own eyes that Lang Mang was calling a young girl master. Everyone knew that Lang Mang only had one master, and that was the racetrack's Grim Reaper. At that moment, Air Commander couldn't believe his eyes. The racetrack's Grim Reaper was actually a female racer. She was so young and beautiful. Air Force had even taken a photo of Lang Mang and the racetrack's Grim Reaper in the preparation room. As for the girl in front of him, Air Commander was 100% sure that she was the girl he had met in Lang Mang's preparation room. Air Commander had even memorized his conversation with the racetrack's Grim Reaper. The young and beautiful girl pointed out Lang Mang's series of problems on the racetrack in a few words. Lang Mang listened patiently to the side, recording it with a pen and paper from time to time. He never retorted. "Captain?" The speed members called out to Air Commander when they saw him in a daze. What the hell? Air Commander pondered silently. He couldn't understand why the racetrack's Grim Reaper would appear in such a place. More importantly, his opponent was Lang Mang's master, the racetrack's Grim Reaper. What a joke. He would never race against the racetrack's Grim Reaper. Not in this lifetime. Chapter 184. Captain, I know that it would be an insult to your reputation to have such a person as your opponent, one of the speed team members spoke up. However, before the speed member could finish his sentence, Air Commander was enraged. In front of everyone, he gave the member a tight slap across the face. "Damn it, shut your stinky mouth." Air Commander pointed at the team member and shouted. The speed team member, who had been slapped by Air Commander, stared at him in bewilderment. Why had his captain slapped him? At this moment, the members of Team 1 were baffled by Air Commander's strange behavior. Could Air Commander be so furious because Speed had lost to Lin Yen? Let's get on the track. Lin Yen tossed the magazine aside and rose to her feet. Her eyes landed on Air Commander as she spoke. Although ZH-1's team members didn't wish for Lin Yen to compete with Air Commander, there was no turning back now. Hence, they had no choice. Air Commander, I'm looking forward to your performance. I bet this is going to be a one-man show. Ha ha ha. Song Zi chuckled at Air Commander. Air Commander shook his head frantically when he saw Lin Yen stand up. You just raced with my team members, so you must not have rested well. Why don't we postpone the race after you've rested? What do you think? Everyone was taken aback by Air Commander's words, especially Song Zi and Song Yaonan. They couldn't understand him. What did it have to do with them whether Lin Yen had rested well or not? Why was Air Commander so competitive? Sure. Pei Yutang nodded hastily and told Air Commander, in that case, we shall postpone the race. Yeah. Brother, you are right. A race should be fair. Air Commander nodded repeatedly. Before Pei Yutang could respond, Lin Yen interjected, there's no need. Since we are already here, let's end this quickly. I don't have the time to run back and forth. Don't you want to reconsider? Cold sweat trickled down Air Commander's forehead. What kind of joke was this? She wanted him to race with the racetrack's Grim Reaper. Air Commander, since they don't know what's good for them, you don't have to worry about the spirit of competition. Just do as she said, end it quickly, Song Zi said impatiently. When I first arrived, I understood the situation. Now that it's a draw, I can refuse to have a time trial on the spot. I have the right to push back the time, Air Commander continued. One, Pei Yutang, and the others looked at Air Commander strangely. What did he mean? Pei Yutang and the others weren't the only ones who couldn't understand their captain's thoughts. Why did they have to push back overtime for no reason? I'm sorry, but the rules have been clarified. Besides, the organizers, Pei Yutang and Song Zi, have also stated that the match will take place in a few days. Lin Yen studied Air Commander intently. Actually, Lin Yen was puzzled. She had never shown her face in public before. Could Air Commander have recognized her? Otherwise, why wouldn't he be willing to compete with her? No matter what, Air Force wanted to postpone the match, but Lin Yen wouldn't agree. She didn't have the time to attend the next match. Since she was already there, she had to finish it within the next few days. Chapter 185. Alright, I admit defeat then. Air Commander gazed at Lin Yen helplessly. Admit defeat? As soon as Air Commander finished speaking, everyone in the preparation room was dumbfounded, especially the speed members. Was their captain crazy? Was he actually admitting defeat? If you admit defeat, of course. We will win this race. Lin Yen nodded at Air Commander. The race had to be completed within the next few days. However, if Speed's captain admitted defeat, the situation would be different. Lin Yen would win the race. Air Commander, what are you doing? Admit defeat? Song Zi glared at Air Commander. Was he trying to fool them? Sorry, I haven't been feeling well recently, so I won't be able to compete. Therefore, I admit defeat, Air Commander replied matter-of-factly. Rather than being beaten up by the racetrack's Grim Reaper, he would rather admit defeat. Actually, it would be a great honor for Air Commander to lose to the racetrack's Grim Reaper. However, there had to be a prerequisite for everyone to know that he had lost to the racetrack's Grim Reaper. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. Other than Air Commander himself, no one would know that he had lost to the racetrack's Grim Reaper. Even if Air Commander were to spread the news, no one would believe him if the racetrack's Grim Reaper didn't say anything. People would only say that his entire team had lost to a racing enthusiast. However, things would be different if Air Commander admitted defeat. First of all, no one would know that he had lost to the racetrack's Grim Reaper. Even if Air Commander were to spread the news, no one would believe him if the racetrack's Grim Reaper didn't say anything. People would only say that his entire team had lost to a racing enthusiast. Air Commander, are you joking with me? Song Zi's eyes gleamed coldly. Song Zi, I don't have time to joke with you. You want me to personally bully a female racing enthusiast? Absolutely not. Go find someone else. That's it, I admit defeat. Air Commander stared at Song Zi and snorted coldly. Before Song Zi and the others could retort, Air Commander glanced at the Speed members and bellowed, "Follow me." With that, Air Commander swiftly led the rest of the Speed members away. Air Commander heaved a sigh of relief after they left. That had been a close call. Captain, what's going on? Why did you admit defeat? One of the Speed members couldn't understand Air Commander's actions. They were clearly going to win this overtime. There wasn't even the slightest bit of suspense. But why did their captain admit defeat? Captain had said that he didn't want to bully a racing enthusiast, but to the Speed members, it was ridiculous. How could they not know what kind of person their captain was? Air Commander looked coldly at his team members and said, "How did you guys lose before? Didn't you watch the recording?" "I see. That woman is a lunatic. Her luck is too good. She must have relied on luck to pass the 3 consecutive bends and overtake at the end. If her luck was slightly worse, she would probably be dead." One of the Speed members said. Bullsh *T. Air Commander pointed at the team member and cursed. Ah. The member who was scolded had a strange look on his face. Wasn't that the case? You idiots, do you know who the woman who just raced with you is? Air Commander snorted coldly. Chapter 186. I know. She is a friend of Pei Yutong's. She is a racing enthusiast. Another Speed member said. A racing enthusiast? Air Commander sneered coldly as he scanned his teammates. All of you are adults. How could the 4 of you be defeated by a racing enthusiast on the same track? Captain, I admit that we underestimated our opponent. If we were given another chance. Before the Speed member could finish his sentence, Air Commander waved his hand and interrupted him. Forget about giving you another chance. Even if I gave you 10, 1,000, or even 10,000 chances, you still wouldn't be able to win this race. Air Commander said angrily. The 4 Speed members exchanged glances. They wouldn't have been able to win even if they were given 10,000 chances? What did their captain mean? Did he have no confidence in them? All of you have participated in the second level of the international competition. No matter how careless you were, you wouldn't have been defeated by a racing enthusiast. Even the best racers in the country wouldn't have been able to do that. Let me tell you something. Even I wouldn't dare to race against that woman. Air Commander sighed heavily. Captain, who is that woman? Who? Air Commander scanned his surroundings to make sure that no one was around before he turned around with a look of awe. The racetrack's Grim Reaper. What? As soon as Air Commander finished speaking, the four members' pupils shrank and they gasped. Lang Mang's master, the defending champion of the first level of the international competition, the racetrack's Grim Reaper, who had participated in the pinnacle of the international competition. At that moment, the speed members stood rooted to the ground in disbelief. They had raced against the racetrack's Grim Reaper. At the same time, in the preparation area, Speed's captain, Air Commander, and a few other members had already left. Only Song Zi, Song Yaonan, and a dozen other young men were left. Although the ZH1 members didn't know what had happened, they were certain that Speed's captain, Air Commander, had admitted defeat. The competition had ended with ZH1's victory. I didn't expect Speed's captain to be so daring. He's so lucky. Mumu chuckled softly. In the ZH1 members' opinion, Air Commander had admitted defeat because he didn't want to bully a female racing enthusiast. As for Air Commander, Deity, and the other members of the team admired him a lot. At the very least, if it had been them, they would not have done this. They would not have taken the initiative to admit defeat and give up a sure-win exhibition race just because you were a female racing enthusiast. Pei Yutong didn't care why Air Commander had admitted defeat. He was all smiles as he looked at Song Yaonan provocatively. Song Yaonan, do you want me to give you some time to prepare, or do you want to be direct? Since he had won the competition, he naturally wanted Song Yaonan to fulfill his promise. This time, he would make Song Yaonan pay him back with interest. F***CKU. Song Yaonan glared at Pei Yutong as he gritted his teeth. You must have bribed Air Commander. Otherwise, Air Commander wouldn't have admitted defeat. You despicable bastard. Chapter 187. Pei Yutong pursed his lips. Stop spouting nonsense. I don't even know Air Commander. I don't even have his contact details. How can you talk about bribing him? Do you have any evidence? If you do, show it to everyone. Song Yaonan didn't have any evidence, so he naturally couldn't produce any. Song Yaonan, don't tell me you can't afford to gamble. Are you afraid of losing? Pei Yutong sneered when Song Yaonan remained silent. Pei Yutong, how dare you play dirty with me? Song Zi's expression darkened as the corners of his lips curled up slightly. He stared at Pei Yutong with a cold smile. Oh, I can't help it if you insist on thinking that way. If you have evidence, show it to me. If not, you can crawl under my crotch. Oh yes, don't forget to disband your lousy team. Pei Yutong was nonchalant. Pei Yutong, you've never suffered a loss before. Song Zi grinned maliciously as he took a few steps back. Then, he turned to the group of youths and said, this place is too small. Bring them out. Oh yes, bring that B***TCH out too. With that, Song Zi led Song Yaonan out of the preparation room. A second later, the ZH1 team members and Pei Yutong were brought out. Pei Yutong and the others were led to an open-air preparation area outside the preparation room. What are you guys up to? Pei Yutong glared at Song Zi and Song Yaonan. I don't know. It has nothing to do with me. You have to ask my big brother, Song Yaonan replied. Ha ha. Song Zi, what are you up to? Are you angry because you've lost? Are you a sore loser? Pei Yutong glared at Song Zi. Song Zi sauntered to Pei Yutong's side. Before Pei Yutong could say anything, he raised his hand and slapped Pei Yutong hard across the face. F***CK your mom. Pei Yutong, who had been slapped out of nowhere, was furious. He raised his fist and prepared to retaliate. However, the image of his big brother surfaced in Pei Yutong's mind. He raised his fist, but it didn't come down. He had promised Big Brother that he wouldn't fight. However, Pei Yutong took advantage of this gap and was pinned down by a few young men. Pei Yutong, you little bee asterisk starred. Why don't you go out and find out what kind of person I am? Why are you playing dirty with me? Song Zi patted Pei Yutong's cheek and grabbed him by the hair. Little bee asterisk starred, I'm telling you right now. I don't care if you bribed Speed's Air Force. Whether you win or lose today, the outcome will be the same. Song Zi, you motherf asterisk cur. Just you wait. Pei Yutong glared at Song Zi as he cursed. Pa. A second later, Song Zi slapped Pei Yutong's face harshly. He sneered coldly. Look at how despicable you are. Do you want to try scolding me again? Song Zi, F asterisk CK your mother. Pei Yutong spat in Song Zi's face. Little bastard, you're courting death. Song Zi flew into a rage as he slapped Pei Yutong a few more times. Then, he kicked Pei Yutong's abdomen. That's enough. Don't go overboard. If you continue like this, we'll call the police. Mumu couldn't help but berate them. Chapter 188. Song Zi glanced at Mumu and the others and sneered coldly. This has nothing to do with you. Mind your own business, or I will beat all of you up. A few young men stood in front of the ZH1 team members. Song Zi's eyes trailed to Lin Yan as he grinned. Look at how useless this man is. Lass, why don't you be with me? As long as you serve me well, I'm sure it will be better than being with a piece of trash like him. Lin Yan's eyes glinted coldly. However, she inhaled deeply. She had to calm down. She had promised herself that she wouldn't fight in the future. She had to distance herself from those dark memories. Why? You don't want to? Song Zi sneered coldly when Lin Yan remained silent. Then I will beat him until he kneels down and begs me. After Song Zi finished speaking, he immediately signaled the young men beside him with his eyes. Upon receiving Song Zi's signal, a dozen youths surrounded Pei Yutong and started beating him up. Song Zi, just you wait. I will kill you. Pei Yutong didn't stop as he cursed Song Zi's family. Get up. Song Zi's expression darkened as he dashed forward. He grabbed Pei Yutong's hair with his left hand and slapped him repeatedly with his right hand. The corner of Pei Yutong's mouth was bleeding. Slap. Suddenly, Lin Yan appeared beside Pei Yutong and grabbed Song Zi's right hand that was about to slap him. What's wrong, slut? Have you changed your mind? Song Zi stared at Lin Yan with a smile. However, Lin Yan ignored Song Zi. She merely raised her right arm in front of everyone, and her eyes were icy cold. What are you trying to do? Song Zi narrowed his eyes. Song Zi had just finished speaking when Lin Yan's arm moved. No one knew what had happened, but they saw Lin Yan slap Song Zi's fat face. At the same time, the inertia of Lin Yan's slap lifted Song Zi's body off the ground. He flipped 2 or 3 times in the air before landing heavily on the ground. Big brother. Song Yaonan was flabbergasted. That woman had slapped his brother so hard. Soon, Song Yaonan helped Song Zi up. Blood trickled from the corners of Song Zi's mouth and nose. Lin Yan had slapped him. Big brother, wake up. Song Yaonan said hurriedly. Song Zi fainted from Lin Yan's slap. Song Zi woke up after Song Yaonan shook him a few times. His entire body was in excruciating pain, especially his face. Damn! Pei Yutong, who had been cursing madly, was stunned. He had been slapped more than 10 times, but he wasn't as miserable as Song Zi. Lin Yan's slap had left Song Zi unconscious for a few seconds. Is that woman a monster? You filthy bee asterisk tch. How dare you hit me? Song Zi pointed at Lin Yan. Beat her up. At Song Zi's words, a young man who was closest to Lin Yan swung his fist at Lin Yan. He didn't see what Lin Yan had done, but in a few seconds, the young men were sent flying like kites whose strings had been cut. Chapter 189. The rest of the men whipped out their baseball bats and other weapons. Go. Beat her up. Song Yaonan held onto Song Zi as he bellowed. A second later, dozens of men charged at Lin Yan with all sorts of weapons in their hands. Lin Yan's eyes flashed with a terrifying glint. Boom! There was a deafening sound. At the same time, the dozens of men who had charged at Lin Yan were dumbfounded. They stared at Lin Yan as though she was a monster. What had they just seen? Were their eyes playing tricks on them? Lin Yan swung her fist and punched the wall behind her. The wall collapsed with a loud thud. The part of the wall that Lin Yan had punched had been reduced to smithereens. Scram! Lin Yan's eyes darted to the men around her as she spoke coldly. The dozen young men looked at each other as if they'd seen a ghost, and they instinctively retreated. What? What kind of monster is this woman? One of the men exclaimed in a trembling voice. She had smashed the wall with one punch. If she had punched him, would he have died? His internal organs and bones would have been smashed by her. The rest of the team members stared at Lin Yan in astonishment. They were as shocked as Song Zi and Song Yaonan. What kind of monster was that? Lin Yan strode toward Song Zi and Song Yaonan with a cold expression on her face. You. What do you want? I'm warning you. Don't come any closer. Song Yaonan and Song Zi turned pale as they watched Lin Yan approach them. Would this woman kill them with a single punch? Hurry. 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 Beat her to death. Song Zi yelled at the men. However, this time, no one listened to Song Zi. They even wanted to beat her to death? They would be grateful if this woman didn't kill them. Seeing that the dozens of young men were indifferent, Song Zi hurriedly said, "Call the police, yes, call the police." Song Zi had just finished speaking when Lin Yan strode over to him. You. I'm warning you, Song Zi pointed at Lin Yan. Before he could finish his sentence, Lin Yan didn't even spare him a glance. Instead, she slapped him. Bang! Song Zi was slapped by Lin Yan again. His body spun 2 or 3 times in the air before he fell to the ground and fainted. Lin Yan stared intently at Song Yaonan, who was trembling uncontrollably. I'm telling you. It's not worth it. We see each other all the time. Song Yaonan's eyes were filled with fear as he stuttered incoherently. Lin Yan didn't waste any time. She reached out and grabbed Song Yaonan's collar. Everyone watched as Lin Yan lifted Song Yaonan's body in midair. Song Yaonan was so frightened that he shrieked. Song Yaonan. Lin Yan glared at him. Where is my engine? What engine? What engine? Song Yaonan's mind was in a whirl. He had no idea what Lin Yan was talking about. We made a bet. You lost to me because of the engine. Lin Yan bellowed. Oh, right. I remember now. 2 engines. I lost the bet. I'll give you 2 engines. Song Yaonan blurted out anxiously. 4 engines. Lin Yan's expression darkened. That's 1 for the psychological damage and 1 for hitting Pei Yutong. That's a total of 4 engines. All right. All right. 4 engines. I'll give you 4. Song Yaonan replied hastily. Chapter 190. At the police station, Pei Yutong, ZH1, and Song Yaonan stood in a row, looking extremely harmonious. The only thing that stood out was the young girl standing next to Pei Yutong, who was standing in the middle of a row of men. The girl was wearing a cap and a casual black outfit. She was carrying a canvas bag, and her body and fair face were clean and spotless. Her hair and clothes were neat and tidy. The only injury on her hand was a red bruise. A middle-aged policeman with a notebook in his hand walked up to the row of people and glanced at them one by one. On Pei Yutong's side, only Pei Yutong was injured. The rest of them looked fine, but Song Yaonan's side was different. Almost everyone was injured. Song Zi had even been dragged to the hospital. It was obvious that Song Yaonan's team had been at a disadvantage and had been beaten up by Pei Yutong's team. The policeman pondered silently. When his eyes landed on Lin Yan, he paused for a moment. It was obvious that this girl had to be the one to stop the fight. So, the policeman looked at the young lady in the crowd and said gently, "Young lady, come out." Lin Yan blinked and walked out obediently. Okay, the policeman looked at the well-behaved girl in front of him and glanced at the wound on the back of her hand. He then advised her earnestly, "Did you call the police? You're just a girl. In the future, if you see men fighting, remember to stay away. Don't get involved. What if you hurt yourself?" Song Yaonan and the others lifted their heads in unison to look at the police officer. Wait a minute. Something was wrong. Even Pei Yutong and ZH1 were dumbfounded when they heard the policeman. Lin Yan nodded eagerly and sincerely. "Thank you, policeman. You're right. You're indeed the guardian of our people. I'm grateful to you on behalf of the people. After all, I'm a weak girl. If I encounter such a dangerous situation in the future, I will hide far away and call the police immediately." Song Yaonan and the others were speechless. Pei Yutong and the others were speechless. Song Yaonan and the others widened their eyes in shock. They were all stunned by Lin Yan's shameless attitude. Pei Yutong and the others glanced at Lin Yan cautiously and swallowed their saliva. Their expressions were indescribable. The policeman's expression softened when he saw the young lady's awareness. He pointed at his colleagues in the office behind him and said, "It's good that you remember this. Girls must pay attention to protect themselves when they're outside. All right, little girl, follow this comrade to make a statement, and then go back early to rest." Holy shit. What the hell? He actually wanted to let her go back. In an instant, Song Yaonan's men couldn't take it anymore and started to protest. Song Yaonan struggled to lift his broken arm as he pointed a trembling finger at Lin Yan. "Officer, are you kidding me? Why did you let her go? She's the one who hit us." "You can let anyone go, but not her." "Exactly. It was this woman who hit us. My legs were broken. Police comrade, and my arm must have been crushed." Chapter 191. Sir. We were the ones who called the police. We were the ones. We called the police so that you could catch this thug. How could you let her go? Listening to the group of people complaining noisily, the policeman shouted angrily with a straight face, "All of you, be quiet. Stop arguing. What do you think this place is?" After that, the police uncle looked at the young men with broken arms and legs with disdain, and lectured them with an extremely displeased expression. "I say, you're a bunch of big men, each of you tall and strong, yet you have the cheek to say that a little girl beat you up like this. Aren't you embarrassed?" Song Yaonan and the others were scolded harshly. They felt so wrong that they wanted to cry. They felt even more humiliated. They had been beaten up by a young girl. They didn't want to admit it either. Did he think that they wanted to admit it? "Sir, we are telling the truth. If you don't believe us, go ahead and investigate. She was the one who beat us up." "Yeah. Why don't you believe us?" Pei Yutong and the others couldn't help but feel sorry for Song Yaonan and the others. Officer, they're not wrong, are they? The police uncle listened to the group of youths crying and snot, and squinted at them in disgust. So, what you mean is, this girl also participated in the fight, and beat you together with these people? The policeman pointed at Pei Yutong and the others. Song Yaonan and the others were quite honest. They immediately shook their heads like a rattledrum and said in unison, "No, this woman hit us alone." The policeman was speechless, not to mention this uncle. Even his colleagues behind him couldn't bear to listen to him anymore. One of the policewomen at the back said with a straight face, "What are you saying? She's just a girl. How could she beat you up like this? Tell me, what tool did she use?" Song Yaonan replied meekly, "No. I didn't use a tool." The policeman was so angry that he burst into laughter. He strode over and examined their injuries. "Now tell me. How could a girl beat you up with her bare hands? Even if you're lying, you should have some common sense." Lin Yen nodded eagerly. "That's right. Sir, you're right." Pei Yutong and the others exchanged glances as they stood there quietly. They stared at the big boss in front of them without saying a word. To be honest, if they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they would have believed that Lin Yen couldn't have done it. Song Yaonan and the others felt so aggrieved that they almost curled up into balls. How would we know how this violent girl did it? Sir, we're not lying. Yeah. Believe us. This woman is like a monster. The policeman was displeased. We have already checked. There are no surveillance cameras in that corner. No surveillance cameras? How could there be no surveillance cameras? As Song Yaonan spoke, he suddenly remembered that they had purposely found a blind spot where there were no surveillance cameras. In the end, they had shot themselves in the foot. The police officer glanced at Lin Yen and comforted her. "Young lady, don't worry. We won't let these people slander you for nothing. We will investigate and clear your name." Chapter 192. Song Yaonan and the others were speechless. F***ck. Shouldn't she be trying to prove their innocence? This was too much of an injustice. Song Yaonan and the others began to argue and plead for their innocence. The police station was in an uproar. In the end, Lin Yen coughed softly and said, "All right, stop arguing." Although she didn't want to expose her uniqueness, she knew that Pei Yutong and the others would be blamed if she didn't admit to it. If Pei Yuching found out, Pei Yutong would be in deep trouble again. After all, Pei Yutong hadn't done anything wrong this time. He had been suppressing himself the entire time, so he couldn't be blamed. Song Yaonan and the others didn't hear Lin Yen, as they continued to argue. Lin Yen narrowed her eyes and hissed coldly, "I said shut up. Don't you understand?" A gust of cold air swept over them, and Song Yaonan and the others fell silent in fear. They shuddered as they stared at Lin Yen. The police station fell into a dead silence. Lin Yen rolled her eyes at them and glanced at the police officer. "Officer, I'm sorry. I didn't tell you the truth. I did beat these people up. I did it alone. I had nothing to do with anyone else." Pei Yutong realized that Lin Yen had admitted to it because of him. He raised his head with a swollen face, his eyes filled with gratitude and admiration. Pei Yutong yelled, "Daddy!" Lin Yen snapped, "Shut up." Pei Yutong replied, "Oh." The policeman was taken aback when he heard Lin Yen. Then, he said solemnly, "Young lady, were you threatened by them? Don't be afraid. Tell me what happened." Song Yaonan and the others were speechless. Please. They were the ones who had been threatened. The look in his eyes had been terrifying. Lin Yen looked helpless. Ahem. No one threatened me. It was really me, Song Yaonan and the others wailed. Yes. Officer, it was really her. She said it herself. Why don't you believe us? This is so unfair. The policeman glanced at Lin Yen and said righteously, Young lady, you don't have to say anything. I understand. You're in the police station now. We will help you find out the truth. Lin Yen scratched her head. The truth is clear. It was me. It's really me. Song Yaonan and the others agreed. Yes. It was her. It's really her. Pei Yutong and the others were speechless as they watched the assailant and the victim standing together to convince the police. Why was the scene in front of him so weird? As Song Yaonan and the others were bickering, a black car stopped at the entrance of the police station. A man who looked like an assistant got out of the driver's seat, then quickly walked to the back seat of the car and opened the door. Then, a man in a black suit stepped out of the car. Just as Pei Yutong was feeling emotional, he caught sight of a familiar figure at the door. The man was wearing a custom-made suit and a pair of gold-rimmed glasses. He looked cold and aloof. Beside him were his senior assistant, Ching Imo, and his private lawyer. Pei Yutong's legs turned to jelly when he saw who it was. He almost fell to his knees. The person next to him had to help him up before he could barely stand. It's over. He's dead. Chapter 193. He had been taken to the police station with his sister-in-law. They would definitely be dead this time. There was no need to save them. He had clearly called second brother before, so why did big brother come in person? F***ck. Lin Yen was explaining to the police helplessly when Pei Yucheng, whom she hadn't seen in a long time, appeared before her. She froze. Her first thought was the same as Pei Yutong's: she was doomed. She had been standing in a corner, so Pei Yucheng hadn't seen her. He strode in Pei Yutong's direction. When Pei Yutong met his brother's terrifying gaze, he was frightened out of his wits. He stammered, Big brother. Big brother. Let me explain, F***ck. Big brother had brought Ching Imo here. It was obvious that he was going to mess with him again. Pei Yucheng's lawyer handed a name card to the police officer. Hello, police officer. This is Pei Yutong's big brother. I'm his lawyer. You can talk to me directly if you need anything. The police officer was startled when he received the name card. It was Qin Jiming, the senior lawyer of the company. Group? Could it be the Pei family's company? The police officer snapped back to his senses and hurriedly replied, Young people are hot-blooded and fight. The lawyer, Qin Jiming, glanced at Pei Yucheng and asked, Who did it? The police officer glanced at them and replied, They must have fought. Pei Yucheng's expression was cold and emotionless as he glared at Pei Yutong. Do you want to leave on your own or do you want me to tie you up? Pei Yutong immediately explained, Big brother. I'm innocent. They started it. We didn't retaliate at all. We were beaten up. You didn't retaliate? Pei Yucheng glanced at Song Yaonan and the others and said nonchalantly, Pei Yutong, you should know the consequences of lying to me. Pei Yutong panicked. I didn't. I really didn't lie. The lawyer coughed softly. Third young master, if you don't tell the truth, I won't be able to handle this matter. Pei Yutong yelled, F***ck. Why didn't I tell the truth? My head was swollen like a pig's head. I wasn't the only one. The others didn't fight either. The lawyer said helplessly, None of you did anything, so how did the other party get injured? Lin Yen, who had been ignored the entire time, raised her hand meekly. It has nothing to do with third young master. It was me. I hit him. Everyone's attention was on Lin Yen. Song Yaonan and the others chimed in at the same time. Yeah. It was her. She was the one who hit him. Lawyer. He was speechless. He finally spotted the girl who was curled up in the corner. Lin Yen stood there obediently like a student who had made a mistake. Mr. Pei. I went to watch third young masters competition today. Watched the competition? Pei Yuqing glanced at Pei Yutong. Lin Yen replied, yes. There was a dispute, so they fought. Before Lin Yen could finish, Song Yaonan blurted out, she did it. Look at how badly she beat us up. I'm telling you, you have to give me an explanation for this. You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.